Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to deploy Windows 11 24H2 using the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit MDT along with Windows Deployment Services. To begin off, I'm starting with a clean installation of Windows Server 2025, which I'm already joined to my Active Directory domain. And this is a trial version of 2025, which is running in my lab at this point. Let's go ahead and install the Windows Deployment Service role on this box. Let's go ahead and click on uh, add roles and click next. Click on role based, feature based, click next. We select our server and we'll click next. And in here, we just select Windows deployment source and we select add features and click next. We leave the default and click next. We need to make sure in the role services, we have got the deployment server and the transport server checked and click next. And let's go ahead and install this role. As this role is getting installed, let's go ahead and download the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit and the Windows ADK that would normally be required. So I'll just minimize this as this continues. And let's open up a browser and Google. And let's download the latest deployment toolkit 8456. And we just want the 64-bit as our OS is 64-bit. And once that's downloaded, we'll also require the ADKs. So let's go ahead and download the latest ADKs for Windows 11 24H2 as well. Let's go ahead and download the ADK for December 2024. We'll also require to download the Windows PE add-ons for the same version. Let's start off and let's check if the deployment services has been completed. So that's still going on. So let's let it complete. And let's go back to the folder where we have downloaded the Microsoft deployment toolkit and let's run that. It's a pretty simple. We just click the defaults and click on next. Once we have the toolkits installed, let's go ahead and install the ADK setup. Okay, next. Leave the defaults and click next. Yeah. So we won't unselect anything. We'll keep all of the default options that are selected and click install. So you can see that the Windows Assessment and Deployment Kit is installed successfully. Let's go back to the folder where we downloaded the ADKs for WinPE, and let's go ahead and run that setup. And let's click on next. Let's accept, and it will install the Windows pre-installation WinPE. So the Windows PE add-on is also completed. So I'll just go ahead and click on close. I'll go back to my WDS role because that got installed as well. So I'm just going to get into the console of Windows Deployment Services. And I'll go ahead and configure the WDS. Right click on my server and click on Configure Server. Click on Next. Yeah, I want to integrate it with Active Directory. I'll click on Next. You can move the path of the remote installation to a different drive. I'll just keep it on the same C drive for the time being, as it's a lab environment. You would normally get a system volume warning, which can be ignored safely. Click on yes. When it comes to the option of how the Pixie server initial settings would like to boot for the client computers, you want to select respond to all client computers known and unknown, and click on next. We want to untick the images because we normally generate the images and then come back and re-upload them up here. So we click on finish. So you can see that the boot images is right now empty because there's no images in here. So we will normally come back here to this configuration and import the boot file for MDT. I'll just minimize this console and I'll go back to my deployment share for the creation of my deployment share in MDT. So I click on deployment workbench. And you can see that it's empty at the moment. So the first step that we need to normally do up here is we'll go ahead and create a deployment share. So we'll click on new deployment share. I'll browse and I'll change the deployment share to my D drive. Then click OK. Click next. I'll keep the default name of the share name. Click next. I'll leave all of the default settings. Click next and I'll finish. And I'll click on finish. So you can see that once it's finished up here, you'll be able to see application operating systems, out-of-box drivers, packages, task sequences under the MDT share. The next step that we're normally going to do is we are going to import the Windows 11 24H2 operating system into MDT. So if you can click on operating system and create a new folder, let's call it Windows 11 24 H2. Next, next, and finish. And once we click on the folder, we go back. We go back to our ISO where we have downloaded the Windows 11. I'll go ahead and mount the Windows 11 ISO. And once it's mounted, I'll go back to the console of the MDT. I'll right click on the Windows 11 folder that we just created, and we'll go ahead and import the operating system. We'll select full set of source files and click next. Browse the mounted disk, which is the E drive. Click OK to that. Click next. I'll leave the destination directory name as Windows 11, home x64. Click next. Click next. And I'll let it copy. So you can see the process has completed successfully. So it has successfully imported Windows 11 in different versions. So I'll just go ahead and click finish. And you can see it's imported all of the Windows 11 various versions. The next step is we'll go ahead and create a task sequence now. So we click on task sequence, we'll give it a name, we'll call it Win11, call it Windows 11 24H2. Now click next. We'll just select the standard client task. There are different task sequences that you can do, but for this demo, I'm just going to be selecting standard client task sequence and click next. And in here, I'll come in and select the version of Windows that I want to deploy. So I'll go with Pro. Version and click next. If you've got a Mac key, you can always use the Mac key in here. Or if you've got a specific product key that you bought with the OS, you just enter that in here. If you're using key MS, we just do not specify the product key at this time. So I'll just leave that option and click next. And full name, just click the name. You can call it Windows user. And in the organization, the name of the organization. And in the homepage, you can just put in any link. It could be your SharePoint link, or your business site link. Just put in Google. Click next. Specify the local admin password. If you don't want to specify one, you can just select that option as well. I selected one and I'll click next. And I'll just go ahead and click next. And I'll click on finish. So you can see that it has finished my task sequence. I will go ahead and also create, import an application into MDT. So for this lab example, I'll just go ahead with 7-zip. Just download the 64-bit version of the MSI. I'll go back to my MDT deployment share console, and under application, I'll just create new application with source files. I'll select that option, click on next, call it 7-zip. You can fill in all of the information, but for this demo version, I'll just leave it blank. Select the source files where we just downloaded from. Specify the name of the directory, which is 7-zip. In the command line, we just go ahead and type in the msiexec.exe/I, followed by the name of the MSI, which is this guy. Let's copy that. MSI/QB, which means it's just going to do a silent install. Click next. I click next and click finish. So you can see that it has imported the application as well. The next step that we need to do is we got to update the deployment share. Before updating the deployment share, click on this and we'll untick x86 because we're only using x64 up here. In the rules, I'll leave it default for the time being. We will go ahead and edit it. Now, as you can see, the MMC has crashed when I clicked on the WinP, and the reason for that is the ADKs that we downloaded, the latest version do not have the x86 in there. So to fix this, what we need to do is we need to go down to a specific folder, which is C program files x86, Windows Kit, 10 assessment and deployment kit, Windows pre-installation environment. And in here, we just create a new folder called x86. And inside x86, we create another folder called winpe_OCS. And once that's done, let's try to relaunch. I got to kill this session as it's hanged. I'll reopen the deployment workbench. And if I go to my deployment share and click on properties now, it shouldn't hang. So you can see that. And I just changed the platform x86 to x64. And I untick this option of generating the bootable ISO because I don't need that. I'll apply the changes. I would also like monitoring to be enabled. So I'll enable monitoring on the box. Click apply. And I'll click OK. So what happens next is we are going to generate the file. So as you can see, if I go back to my deployment share, under my boot folder, it's empty right now. So we're going to go ahead and first generate these boot files. So I'll right click on the MDT deployment share and update the deployment share. And I'll click on complete regenerate boot files. I click on next, click on next, and I'll click on finish. So you can see that the first time when I tried to update the deployment share, there was an error, and the reason for that is the x86 option was ticked. So looks like it didn't retain the settings. I'll just show you guys what I had to normally do to fix it. So I'll let this wizard run to generate the boot files for me. So you can see that the updation of the deployment share has been successful. So I'll click on finish. And the issue that I normally had earlier is when I clicked on the properties, I had the x86 platform supported enabled, and that's the reason why it failed. So I had to just untick it and do an OK. Now, the next step from here is we need to configure the WDS to boot the light touch image that we just generated. So, as you normally can see now, if I go back to that folder of boot, I'll be able to see my light touch PE x86 for Vim file. So we need to import that into WDS. So let's go ahead and fire up WDS console from Server Manager. If we right click on boot image, we click on add boot image and we'll browse the location, which is D drive, deployment share boot, and the light touch Vim file. Click on open, click on next. We leave the rest default, click on next. And this should normally inject and import the light touch Windows PX84, which would normally be required by the clients to boot from. And you can see that the task completed successfully. The next step is we'll normally try to get a client and try to boot it, try to see that if it can connect to MDT and boot from the sequence, Windows 11 task sequence that we have created. I'm just going to start one of my MDT clients and I'll make sure that it's able to boot out from the network. So you can see that it's booting from Pixie and it got connected to the WDS. It found my WDS and I'm just going to hit enter and it will try to load the light touch PX64 Vim. I'll let this process load. You can see that it's trying to load the deployment wizard. You can see that there's a lot of stuff that's not yet pre-configured. And if you remember, there was this customization dot ini custom settings dot ini, which we just left as default. Now there is a lot of stuff where we can literally semi-automate the entire deployment or literally do a full unintended example. So I'll put in some values of that in the description of this video. But for this default video, I'm just going to go ahead with the defaults right now and go ahead and run the wizard. So all of this can be automated. So you can see that it's picked up the task sequence that we had created. I'm just going to select that and click next. So this part that I was talking about is all can be automated completely. So for the time being, I'm just going to put in the values in here. leave the default, keep the value name as, I'll call this Win11 join 1124 H2 join. Next. Uh, we're not going to be moving any data or any settings, so I'll leave that as it is. I'm not going to restore any user data or settings, so I'll select that option. The language that I require is, I'll leave them as default as well. I'll leave the time settings. So all of this can normally be, can be hard coded and fully automated. So I'm just going to select the 7-zip application that we got. Click on next. Do not enable BitLocker. Yeah, just leave that next. So you can see that it's just going to go ahead and start with the entire process. So I'll let this thing run, and once it's completed, I'll come back. I'll pause the video, and once it's done, it should normally have a Windows 11 box completed for us. We calling this. So I've just logged on to the MDT client, which was successfully completed, and you can see that uh, the boxes the box has been named. Uh, the computer name is exactly the same that we normally provided when we built the box, and it should also be successfully joined to the domain as well, which I think it has. Yeah. And we also want to make sure that it has the 7-zip installed on it. So let's quickly make sure we can launch 7-zip file manager, because that's the application that we deployed through the task sequence. And as you can see that that's deployed as well. So that literally covers end-to-end deployment of MDT Windows 11 24H2. There's one thing, last thing that I wanted to talk about is on the MDT Win 2025 box. If you remember, we use the default custom settings.ini when we normally deployed or the task sequence. If you wanted a fully automated deployment, I can provide the entire copy of that in the description of this window. But what needs to be done is once you normally have all these parameters in place, you tweak and make sure that you adjust the domain name as per your domain name and whatever the admin password is. It's not that secure, so I won't use that in a production environment. I would skip this part. But yeah, definitely you can always make sure that the machine object is configured, so you know that when the machine is joined to the domain, it's in a specific OU, and even the naming convention as well is all configured. Uh, and once you click on apply and OK, the next thing that you need to do is you need to update the deployment share once again in after any changes that you normally do, and regenerate the boot files. So yeah, you just click on next, and I'm not going to go through that entire process back again, but yeah, you just finish this, you finish this process. And once this is done, you go back to the WDS and you also update the boot files as well, because as a deployment is updated, the boot files have also changed. So you just come in here in WDS console under boot image, click on your existing boot images, right click on it and click on replace image, and browse to the same directory of your deployment boot, which will be this. So this file light touch px would normally be updated when you update the deployment, and you just click on open and just run to the wizard and finish the wizard by clicking next and finish, and that re-imports the new boot file boot image for you. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hasta la vista from Citrix Sage. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for some more awesome tech tutorials. See you in the next one.